Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Johanna and welcome to my cozy book space. For today's video, I'm going to be doing my mid-month wrap-up. For the first half of January, I read 8 books, so let's talk about them. Also, if I sound a little funny, is because I am currently sick. I am dealing with the flu. I don't feel as bad as I did yesterday, but I'm still kind of going through it. First book that I read in the first half of January was Midnight Drop by Lee Jaku. I gave this book 4 stars. This is kind of like a hate to love romance. We have our heroine Bailey. She is a cosplayer, and then we have our hero Arian, and he's a cosplayer as well, but he is very well known, more well known than our heroine is. And our heroine is a fan of his, and she goes to this convention and she's like really looking forward to meeting him, but then she ends up having a really bad interaction with him, and other things obviously are at play, but our characters don't know. And ever since this interaction, our heroine has hated the hero. Our hero has been trying to get our heroine's attention since the beginning. Like, he has always liked her, so definitely guy falls first. And there is some groveling here because he fucked up and he has to apologize, and they essentially end up meeting up again because they have to do this convention together because they both are the most popular cosplayers on the internet, and they're hosting like this live stream at the convention, and this is like their first time seeing each other again. It is so good, you guys. It is definitely giving more like hate to love instead of enemies to lovers because of this misunderstanding. I really just liked the cosplay idea. Like, it was very different, and I liked how it was set in the New Year's, so it just kind of hit the right spot, especially at the time that I was reading it. There is a whiskey shot scene. If you know, you know. It's really good. I definitely recommend. Second book that I ended up reading was Sanctuary by Claire Kent. This one I gave it 4 stars to as well. I loved it so much. I love this series by Claire Kent. You guys already know I always talk about it, but this is a end of the world apocalyptic romance. So for Sanctuary, we have our hero Aiden and our heroine Brianna. So we meet Brianna in the previous book because in the previous book, her younger sister, it's her romance. This one is Brianna's romance. So she is finally, like, I guess you could say, like, free from having to take care of her sister because her sister is not her little sister anymore, and she's found her man at the end of the world, and she has finally been able to like kind of take this burden off of her, kind of pursue what she wants in her life. Claire Kent's writing is just absolutely beautiful. I love it so much. I really loved how strong our heroine was, that she wasn't weak because of the things that she had to do. She was strong because of the things that she had to do. I just loved our heroine. She was very strong-minded, very strong-willed. She took no bullshit, and I just loved her as a person. And then we have our hero Aiden, and he's very misunderstood. Our characters have trauma from their past. I mean, it is the end of the world, and they both went through things, and I love how they both kind of connect through that, but it definitely does not start off that way. This is definitely a like rivals to lovers because they do not get along, because Aiden is basically like a messenger. He takes payment for doing like odd jobs around the area, and Brianna is trying to do this as well. She thinks that they can both do this, but Aiden is so against it. But they are definitely rivals. They bicker back and forth, and then essentially they kind of have to do this little competition, and they ended up getting snowed in. So forced proximity, it is definitely hurt comfort because they talk about their trauma, and she does get hurt, so they're snowed in. Forced proximity, like I said, he like definitely takes care of her, and I will say I do think that his guy falls first as well. And the story was just absolutely beautiful. I loved everything about it. The spice was spicing, but it was also more than spice, you know. There was growth in the relationship and in the connection through the spice. So I overall thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can't wait for the next one in this series. I hope the series never ends. After that, I ended up reading For the God's Sake by Rory L. Scott. This one I gave 5 stars to. I actually have a whole reading vlog where I read this book, so I will link it up in the cards, and if not, down below in the description box, or you can just go to my channel and check out my last video. I loved it so much. There is the Greek gods. It is a fantasy romance. It has fake dating, which I loved. It has the forced proximity. It's the will they won't they. Definitely we have a possessive and protective hero. We definitely have a hero who loses control only for the heroine, and he has like this lightning power, and we can see it manifesting. It is so good, you guys. And I will say this one has a jealous heroine, and we don't really see that, and we get that in this book, and it is so good. You guys definitely need to check it out. Then after that, I ended up reading Midnight with the Devil by Emma Castle. I don't think I've ever read anything by Emma Castle before, and I will say I loved the premise of this book. I loved the overall vibe. So we basically have our hero Lucien and our heroine Diana. Lucien, we open up the book with him falling from heaven. He is a fallen angel. He is Lucifer incarnate. He is the devil. He ends up opening this like club where he can like get all of the sins of the humans, and he like runs hell. He is needing a pure soul, because the purer the soul, the better the magic or essence will keep the gates of hell closed. So he finds Diana. He ends up making a deal with her, you know, like a crossroads deal. Diana is going through it because her father is dying, so she makes a deal with Lucien that he would save her father, and all he wants from her is to see her from midnight till dawn every Friday for 3 months. I gave this 3.5 stars just because I found it lacking in many parts, but like I really did enjoy it, and I really enjoyed some aspects of this book. The overall story I really liked. I just don't think that it was executed the way that I could have enjoyed to the maximum, I guess. I don't know how to say that, but we have our hero and our heroine meeting up every Friday. Obviously, it's sort of like a sex deal. They do have sex quite often. It was mid, because I feel like the hero talked this big ass game, and our heroine was like this naive, virginal, pure soul. She was scared to go to the dark side. The dark side was not dark. You know, we were told we were going to get something, and then we kind of fell flat, especially in the sex aspect. I will say in the emotional aspect, we do have scenes where they are obviously going on dates, and then he takes her places because he can like teleport, and they do have these scenes. And so I think that the emotional connection was there, and I liked how the heroine kind of fell in love with him first, especially because he's supposed to be this big bad and he is the devil. Then we see the hero falling in love with her. They kind of have to see the consequences with that. But another thing that I didn't like was that our heroine repeatedly would say like, oh, I can't fall with the devil, like I'm falling in love with the angel. And I'm like, but he is the devil. Yes, he's an angel, but he fell from heaven and he is now the devil. So how can you fall in love with the angel but not fall in love with the devil? It's the same person. You should love him regardless. At least that's my opinion. So there was a lot of that back and forth with her, but overall I really enjoyed it. There are really good scenes in here. Then the ending really, I was not expecting the ending. The ending definitely has this, I don't know if this is gonna be a spoiler or not, but it has this like reincarnation trope. It's all good and all, but the way that it ended, it kind of like erased everything before that, if you know what I mean. So anyways, it was 3.5 stars. It was all right. I loved the cover. I loved the premise, but it just didn't hit as much as I thought it was going to. After that, I read Alpha Inmate. This I gave 4 stars to. I read a couple of Omega verses in the first half of January. This one is about our hero. He is in this like, it's like a prison, but it's not a prison. It's like this prison where he like gets help as well. Like he has like a therapist and like a doctor and stuff, and he's an alpha. And then we have our heroine. She is an omega, and she's basically like a researcher. Yes, so she like researches alphas, betas, omegas, and how they're being treated in any sort of system. At least that's what I got from it. And so she goes to visit this prison thinking that she's going to be studying like betas and other omegas, but she ends up getting misinformation and she has to study our alpha. And it is a novella, so it's definitely insta love, insta lust, and fated mate. So we have this hero who is kind of deranged, kind of crazy, kind of insane, but we like it. You know, it's the good kind. And he's definitely possessive, protective over our heroine. He already knows that she is his. Our heroine feels it, but definitely she's the one who gives the most resistance. And we do have a hero here who does a lot of crazy, unhinged things to and for the heroine. It is just spicy, good old time. I really loved it, and that's why I gave it 4 stars. After that, I read Alpha Villain. This one I gave 4 stars as well. This is by the same author. This one I loved more than the previous one. This one we have more of a dark romance kind of plot. So we have a hero who is not necessarily in the mafia, but he is an assassin for hire, and he is an alpha. And then we have our heroine who is is an Omega. Her father, I think, is part of like this crime family, and she ends up running away because her father had done something. Our hero ends up looking for and searching for our heroine because he wants to kill her. Obviously, things don't go as planned, but it is so good and so entertaining. I honestly truly really loved this one. Maybe I should give the other one 3 stars and this one 4 stars. But like, I really loved the first one. Maybe I'll give Alpha Inmate like 3.5 stars, and then Alpha Villain is definitely 4 stars. I really loved this one. Our heroine, she's a bartender, and this is where he finds her, and he is definitely, again, protective and possessive. And this isn't instant fated mates vibe. This one, he like slowly has to like kind of fall for her because he originally went to find her to kill her because the hero wants to hurt the heroine's father, and he thinks the best way is by killing our heroine. And our heroine has obviously her own trauma, and she ran away from her father for her own reason. So these two characters definitely clash heads, but it is so fun, so sexy. We have all of the best Omega verse traits in this one, and I just overall really loved it, and it was very entertaining. After that, I read Just the Tip by Jenica Snow. This one I gave 3 stars to. I enjoyed it for what it was. This is a spicy novella, but I feel like this one had a lot of kinks and a lot of sexual things in here that aren't necessarily for me. So we definitely have an age gap romance, we have the rape play, the rough sex, we have role playing, we have degradation, and we have fisting. I think this is the first book that I've ever read that had that in there, and I will say I don't know if I liked it. Definitely go in knowing that and see if you'll like it. But we have this weird ass premise with these two characters. We start off by finding out this story about how her grandmother had this man, and she left this man and got with our hero, which essentially we would find out that is our hero. She never knew why they got a divorce, but they did. But he got really close with the family, so they always have like these Sunday dinners. And so he pulls up to this Sunday dinner, and they have a good old time, and then everybody leaves, and he leaves as well. Then we have this role play where like the hero is an intruder, and he like breaks into her home, and like he does all kinds of things to her, and it was a lot. I was entertained, I will not lie, but it definitely wasn't my favorite. 3 stars though. The last book that I read in the first half of January, which was Dipped in Holly by Donna Isili. This one I gave 4 stars to, and this one is actually a reread of mine. I decided to read this one again because it's part of a series and I want to get through the series, and each book in this I believe is based around a holiday. So I'm pretty sure the second book in the series is for Valentine's, so I'll probably end up reading that in February. But this one is definitely Christmas themed. We have our heroine who had just gotten really broken up with by her ex-boyfriend in this bar on Christmas Day, I think, and she's like crying in the bathroom. She's feeling sorry for herself, and somebody keeps banging on the bathroom, and it happens to be our hero, who is actually also the owner of this bar. And he like sees her and notices her, and he immediately is into her and infatuated with her. He thinks that she deserves so much better, and he kind of soothes her throughout the night. He's there for her and like gives her free drinks, but also gives her water so she's okay, and he's really trying to take her home. And they have this amazing chemistry and tension, and there's definitely a protective scene where the ex comes up, says some things, and he's like there to protect her, be there for her. He's a whole ass man. He is a whole ass daddy. There is a little bit of a daddy kink in here. There's Christmas lights with the whole tying up. The smut is always really good. It is Donna Isili, so I really enjoyed it for what it was. I gave it 4 stars. And those were all of the books that I read in the first half of January. Let me know what your favorite read of January is so far, and if you don't want to comment any of that, then go ahead and leave me a disco ball emoji down below in the comments for midnight drop. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.